Distinguished guests, my name is Ph.D. the TGGS Academic Affairs Staff, and also UMC for KMUTNB Colloquium 2024 in this morning's session. At this time, I would like to invite Professor Dr. Suchat Sieng Chin, President of King Mongkut University of Technology, North Bangkok, to deliver the opening remarks. Professor Sieng Chin, please.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Dear the Dean of the Faculty, TGGS, Professor Nisai, Fung Velo School, and dear Professor Dr. Home Dhakal, and all my college and the student. First of all, I would like to special thanks to Professor Home Dhakal, who accepted our invitation to give a special talk today. Because I know that Professor Dhakal is quite busy. He is always travel around the world. He has as many projects developed in between. And he leads one of big institution at Portsmouth University in UK. And therefore, I'm really thankful, Professor Home Dhakal, for your accepting of the talking today. On behalf of KMUTNB and myself, I would like to warm welcome to all of you to our colloquium on 2024, which we organize every 6 months. And the target of our colloquium, maybe all of you know already what we are expected to update the research which is doing by our researcher or Ph.D. And we try to share our idea, how they running the research. We try to introduction everyone at KMUTNB to know each other, to exchange them culture, And today is a special talk from Professor Home Dhakal. He will give talk about how to be good supervisor. And I believe such a topic is really important for myself to how to be supervisor that can be everyone, but how to be good supervisor it not can be everyone. And therefore, Professor Dhakal, he will share his experience. And if you have any question, you can ask him or anyone who has experience with the Ph.D. student at all university. So I would like to special introduction to Professor Dhakal to everyone because he has a long history, two pages, which I printed out from his website at the Portsmouth University. May I would like to introduction to Professor Home Dhakal. And Professor Dhakal, he is a professor of the mechanical engineering at the University of Portsmouth. He has over 30 years of teaching and research experience in the field of mechanical engineering, materials, and manufacturing. In addition to his academic career, he has many years of experience working with the various of manufacturing companies. And he's still also lead as a director of the Portsmouth Center for Advanced Materials and Manufacturing. And he is also a docent professor of a bio-based composite material at the Faculty of Textile Engineering and Business at the University in Sweden. And he is also honorary chair of the Sustainable Biomaterials Matter Bandalai University of Science and Technology in Nepal. And his expertise including the design and development of the sustainable lightweight composite materials and their testing characterization. And his research has benefit many industries through the development of the length of the new sustainable materials and manufacturing process. Not only what I mentioned, he has a big number of publications, over than 130 international peer-reviewed journals. And he developed many books and book chapters. And he also attended to many conferences, more than 80 conferences. And he still also has been a guest editor for a number of journals. And he is an associate editor and editorial board member of many journals. And he served as a member of the scientific and committee and evaluator for various of research projects. That is the part of his experience what I can present it today. But more detail, I believe that you can listen yourself directly from Professor Home Dhakal. And today I would like also special thanks to the Dean of the Faculty of Engineering, TGGS, Professor Dr. Nisai, who organizes today colloquium, and special invite to Professor Home Dhakal to give a special talk today. Now is a good time that I would like to transfer this section to Professor Home Dhakal, and I hope that everyone can be enjoyed for next hours. Thank you very much for everyone. Thank you.
Hello. Yeah, okay. First of all, I'm very grateful to President, Professor Dr. Inge Suchard Chinchin for welcoming me here today. And also I'd like to express my sincere thanks to Dean, Professor Nishai, for giving me this opportunity. I'm very grateful to Dr. Sanjay Maminka Rangapa for all his collaborative spirit and his support throughout this year and many, many years. So I feel greatly honored to be here today. So the topic is very interesting. It will be more like an interactive topic, I believe. So please do interrupt me if you have any questions while I'm presenting. When I was preparing the slides for today's presentation, many memories came back to me. As a PhD student, that I was doing my PhD in UK, and the challenges and the demands of doing PhD as an overseas student coming from Nepal with two young boys. So that was very interesting. So I will try to share my experiences with you. So before doing too long, so I will start the presentation again. I feel at home coming here, especially you have got amazing research team and research culture. I think that will be very important, that what we are talking today. Right. So becoming an effective supervisor. If you want to be an effective supervisor, you need to be a very in the presence of very active and passionate PhD researcher. You cannot be an effective supervisor if your PhD scholar is not effective, or you have not been able to make she or her effective. So the topic is very challenging one. I just have few questions right in the beginning just to remember a few points. First of all, what is the attraction and motivation in supervising a PhD? Why do I want to be a PhD supervisor? What is there for me? Most people here may have been in both sides. Maybe you have been PhD scholar and then now you are supervising PhD student or many PhD projects. Or some of you may have just been finishing your postgraduate research and you are thinking to become a PhD supervisor, or maybe both. And so, as a postgraduate student or PhD supervisor, there are a lot of aspects, interconnection. And then just what was your experience like? What did you learn from that experience? Would you be able to bring the right things out of your own experience? So these are some of the questions that I want to just put forward. Then we can go to next slide. Why be a PhD supervisor? I think for me, becoming a PhD supervisor is just amazing area that I can be involved, and that satisfies my research aspiration. So if I had no PhD scholars, my research aspiration will not be fulfilled. So is one of the most rewarding aspects of the job, that is for me, keeps me cutting edge of my research field. So we are working on different areas of research, composite materials. Within composite materials, we have different clusters. we work on printed circuit boards, for example. I need a PhD scholar who is very keen, enthusiastic, or has some knowledge in that field. We are working on sustainable packaging material. So I need to have a PhD scholar that is very engaged and also loves the area and has a passion for that topic. So that I can explore cutting-edge research that industry is looking with the support of PhD scholar. So for me, it is most rewarding aspect of my job. I do teaching as well, but research is the one which keeps me moving ahead. So that I can translate my research into teaching. Because our students are very exposed. 20 years ago, students would depend more on lecturer to impart knowledge. But now they don't need to depend so much on lecturer. We are not imparting knowledge. They are not just listening and we are imparting. We are engaging together. So that is very important. So it gives. I'm just talking about me. Maybe it is true for all. It gives you an opportunity to share your accumulated wisdom of your own PhD journey. So whenever I talk to my PhD student, I interact with her or him, I remember my PhD time. So as I said in the beginning, I come from Nepal, Kathmandu. I used to work with Tribhuvan University as a lecturer in mechanical engineering, and I wanted to pursue my further education. So I came to UK. I did my Bachelor of Engineering in UK, and I was fortunate enough to do Masters and PhD in UK. I remember my time. I had when I first came to UK, we had only one child who was very young, but later on we had another child born in the UK. So there were two young children growing, and I was in a very new place. And then as a mature student, your supervisor would throw you so many things, thinking that you will be able to handle that. Thinking that you have been already lecturer in you have done so much work already, so you will be able to do it. So that was a big challenge. First of all, I had to look after two boys, my wife, new place, new situation, and the demand of PhD. It was not easy. So normally in UK, PhD is 3 years duration. Most of the students will take 3.5 years, even 4 years. To finish PhD in 3 years is really, really tough. But I managed to finish my PhD in 3 years, and my viva was just after 3 years. So I remember that time, if I had my PhD extended another 3 months, I would have been ill. I was in that much pressure. First finishing thesis, and just meeting the requirement and expectation of PhD. Writing papers, going to conferences. You are so-called experienced PhD scholar, so that puts another layer of pressure on you. And then, I would have been ill. Not only I would have been ill, my wife would have been ill as well. So PhD is that demanding process. I remember. So it is opportunity. When I talk to my PhD scholar, I remember the time, the situation that I went through, so that I can also have sympathy on them. Because in the UK, most of the PhD scholars are coming from overseas. There are very less home students wanting to do PhD. When they finish masters, they like to go to industry and get a good job. Maybe in 3-4 years, by the time they would have finished their PhD, they would have already established job in industry. So unless you have really drive for research, people will go to industry. Yeah. So, right. So why a PhD supervisor? You can bring your experience and you can share your experience. And obviously to foster new knowledge in the field is very important as well. And to get more publication. There is a pressure, demand, benchmark on professors, lecturers, senior lecturers, associate professor, wherever we are. because we may have caused that pressure by ourselves, setting a very high benchmark, but there is an expectation to get publications. So for promotion, for example, from a lecturer to senior lecturer, from senior lecturer to reader, from reader to professor, there are certain expectations. You will have to have certain completion of PhD as a first supervisor. You would have attracted certain funding for research project. You would have published certain publications in certain impact factor journal during that period. So there are so many boxes to be ticked to be promoted. So why you want to be a supervisor? You want to publish more papers because you cannot write papers by yourself all the time. You have to have supporting hands. So PhD scholars are the one who can lend that hand to you. Okay, so more publication maybe. Yeah, so I'd like to move, Sanjay, if you could just give me 5 minutes, just if you could raise your hand before 5 minutes of my time. But yeah, so, right. So to get someone to be a partner and develop your research ideas, you may have so many research ideas, but you need somebody to help that. So these are some of the reasons people want to be a supervisor or why you want to be a PhD supervisor. Yeah, as I mentioned, promotion prospects. Key part of the promotion is how many PhD you have supervised. There is no exact number, but there is an expectation. If you want to be a reader in the UK system, for example, in our university, you will have to have 3 PhD completion. You have to have director of study, they call first supervisor. Yeah, so there is no written rule, but there is an aspiration and expectations. And then also to get grants. If you want to get projects, research grant application, you need to have team members with you so that you can assign particular tasks to particular team. And within that team, PhD student or PhD projects can be one of them. Right, so these are some of the reasons why you want to be a PhD supervisor. I may have missed others, but these are the main. So there's another very interesting topic. Is student-supervisor relationship. Now, I have seen so many colleagues, they work together, they go to pub together with PhD students. In UK, the pub is the meeting place where you drink, whether you drink wine or beer or soft drink, you go to pub. So after all this hard work, I see my colleagues and PhD scholars going to pub and just enjoying. Maybe during the working hours, they are supervisor PhD students. After working hours, they are friends. You know, the relationship is very interesting and very important. So yeah, the role of a supervisor is obviously to provide a regular, consistent supervision, mentoring, guidance, and training for a postgraduate research student. So that is the role, key role of a supervisor. So the relationship between supervisor and PhD scholar or PhD student is the heart of higher education research degree expectation. So if there are no good relationship, you cannot get good outputs. It's very simple. If there is no engagement, no collaboration, no coordination between the supervisor and PhD scholar, then there is no way you are going to get good outputs. Yeah, so there has to be certain compatibility between supervisor and PhD student, and that is the important part of the relationship. Okay, so just stop me, please, if you have any question or any clarification, or you want to add something on it, what I have shared, please raise your hand or just indicate to me, please. So relationship again. In interest, in approach, in personality, there has to be some compatibility. If supervisor approaches something and student opposes that, it's difficult. So you have to be in the same line. And then personality also has to be some kind of compatibility. So as with other relationships, supervision is partly organic and partly good design. So organic means it is developed over time. You cannot be so close with supervisor just coming next day of your PhD task. It takes time to build relationship. It takes time to know each other. Yeah? And then obviously it plays a vital role. supporting from start to submission and beyond. So there are three things I want to just highlight here. One is from start. When you start a PhD, you talk with your student. You understand what is happening, what is the background, why the person wants to do a PhD. You may have interview before that stage, but again, you reflect on why the person is wanting to do a PhD. So what are the supports you can provide? And from the start to submit and beyond. So beyond means what happens after PhD. Yeah. So I have so many PhD scholars who completed PhD under my supervision. They are in different parts of the world. Some are working in Nigeria as a project manager. Some are working in Thailand. Some are working in Saudi Arabia as a professor and dean. Some are working somewhere. It's just amazing, knowing they are in different parts of the world. Yeah. So it's not only doing PhD, what happens beyond the PhD. That is what you think while doing PhD. So I write books with my PhD scholars. I write joint papers with them. I write joint grant application with them. I was in Saudi Arabia last December, delivering a plenary talk. Then one of my PhD scholars, who was my PhD student in University of Portsmouth, who I have put some papers from him in my presentation tomorrow, not today. And he was just amazing scholar. He produced amazing papers and then published in Composite Science and Technology. This is one of the premier journal in our field. He published paper in Composite Structures, which is also very important journal in our composite sector, composite subject area. And he was such an amazing focused PhD scholar. He works in Saudi government at the moment. So he knew I was coming to Riyadh. And then he wrote me an email, Professor Dhakal, I heard you are coming to Riyadh. When are you coming? What are your flight details? I said, well, I'm coming this time, and I didn't want to give my detail to him. The reason is he would take away from his work and he would come to see me, and then I didn't want to bother him. So that was the reason, and I didn't want to give you. And then he was keep insisting to me, can you please let me know what is your flight details? And then I said to him, look, Fahad, I'm coming to Riyadh, that's true. I'm coming on this day. I'm arriving middle of the night, and I have booked the hotel, and I'll take taxi, and I'll go to my hotel. And he said, no, I want to come to the airport. No, this is the middle of the night. You are not coming. No, I'm coming. And he came to the airport, and he drove me to my hotel, put the luggage. Middle of the night, he took me to the downtown for an evening meal, very late, and then put me back in a hotel. These are the relationships you develop over time. It's not just the PhD, it's beyond PhD. So that is how you have to start working. Because PhD is just not the completion of PhD, just writing few papers or few outputs. Of course, that is very important, but beyond PhD. That is how I plan when I start a PhD. So this is the word that I have. So start to submission and beyond is very. So just want to add one more item there, then I will move on. Then one of my, so Fahad put something in LinkedIn of him and me in Riyadh, middle of the night, in somewhere eating food. And then another, my PhD scholar knew that I was in Riyadh. And then he wrote me another message. Professor Dhakal, you are in Riyadh, you didn't inform me. And I said, look, he is in a place called Qasim, which is 200 kilometers away from Riyadh. So I said, look, Abdul, you are in Qasim, he is 200 kilometers away from Riyadh. So I didn't want to bother. I'm here a very short time. So maybe we'll meet next time. And he said, no. Where are you? Where is your hotel, or where is the conference venue? Either I want to come to the hotel to meet you, or in the conference venue. So finally, he insisted, and he drove 200 kilometers one way. And just to meet me, 1 hour. Next to the conference venue, there was a coffee shop. We went there for coffee for 1 hour. Then he had a meeting in the afternoon. He drove back 200 kilometers. And then he sent me a picture of his meeting after returning to Kosovo. He's a dean and a professor of mechanical engineering, one of the university in Saudi Arabia. So these are the relationships you develop, the beyond PhD. Yeah. So the supervisor-student relationship is very, very important in PhD process. So sometimes we think that, okay, this is just one PhD. I will just finish in 3 years. If some papers comes, well and good. If some doesn't come, that doesn't matter. That will be the wrong approach from my experience. So yeah, right. So let's move on. So student-supervisor relationship is very, very important. So now, who is supervisor? I think we know that, don't we? He must be an expert. If you are not expert in the topic, you will be struggling. You can learn, but you can learn so much. You are directing a new person who has just embarked in that particular field. And if you have not got expertise in the field, then you might just lost the way, and it might take. So it is important to be an expert in the field. That is my experience. And obviously field of the student's interest, the topic of the PhD. Obviously also has to be an active researcher who has established record and who is currently producing research. If a supervisor is not a research active, he can still be a supervisor, but he has to have other team members, supervisory team, who are research active. But it will be very difficult to be a first supervisor and not be a research active person. Yeah, somebody who must have a established record and doing a research. Because one thing I found is that when a PhD student come to you, you would like to introduce them with other team members. You would like to introduce them to your collaborators. And you want to, so that the topic they are doing, there are maybe some other networks of yours that are doing similar field. Could be industry, could be another academic institution. Just link them. So they will feel very valued. They will feel very happy. Wow, my supervisor has introduced me to this very place that is so many things is happening about related to my field. So if a supervisor is an active researcher, then he can guide to his PhD scholar to different networks of that person. So must be an expert in the field and very actively involved researcher. At the same time, he's a busy person, or she's a busy academic. So they have other PhD to supervise, and then obviously teaching, and may have also administrative responsibility. So supervisor cannot give all the time his time to PhD students. So I'll come that a little bit later. What are the expectations? How much supervisor can help? How much supervisor need to be engaged with PhD student, and how much time they need to leave him alone or leave her alone. They need to also grow. They need to fly. They need to learn to fly and really fly themselves. So building their capability is one of the main research expectation of PhD process. How can we make them individual or independent researcher after end of their PhD? Maybe they're already independent. Some PhD scholars come to do PhD, they're already independent researcher. So that makes supervisor's life a lot easy. Yeah, but not all PhD students are in that position. So yeah, so the supervisor, there has to be certain attributes of supervisor. It is not that, okay, I take one PhD student and somehow I'll finish the PhD, and then in my CV for the promotion, I will have ticked one PhD supervision completion. So 2 more, then I'm done. That doesn't work. Right. So yeah. So this is quite interesting and quite important. I'm sure some PhD scholars are here, and we are. Some of us are already supervisors currently. We have supervised many PhD students. So I hope you agree with me. What do students expect from their supervisors? Obviously, supervision experience is important. The track record is important, and what are the past and current research in the subject area? That is very important. They want to know. The students, when they come for a PhD, sometimes even they know from your web page what is your potential supervisor doing, what are their expertise, and so on. And they need to be able to give detailed feedback. at various stages. I have so many PhD students currently doing. Some are in their first year, some are in their second year, some are about to finish their PhD. Some have already submitted their thesis. They are in the process of mock viva. So they are in different stages. So you will have to provide different leadership, different mentoring, different coaching at different stages. Yeah, so feedback and availability is very important. Sometimes their supervisor hardly seen, and the students are left alone, and they are just struggling. I think that is not really a desired situation. So availability is very important. Advice and support is very important. Also, you should be able to give constructive criticism. Sometimes they think PhD scholar, they think that they have done amazing work, that's it. They don't realize they have not done amazing work, and they need guidance, they need feedback. So you should be able to give constructive criticism and feedback. My approach is like this. Whenever they come to me, we have agreed task for that particular period, and they come to me. What I say to the student is that, okay, so far you have done amazing work. That's really brilliant. This part you have done so well done. This part you could have done better. This part maybe requires more attention. So if we look at this aspect, you can make a good work. So sometimes we can discourage them, sometimes we can encourage them. Most of the time we can encourage them. So what is the approach we take? So that is the approach I take. I always appreciate first what they have done with their ability, and then go and give the feedback. Okay, if you do this way, it would be amazing. Yeah, so the constructive feedback is also very, criticism is very important, and also helping hand. Sometimes I read theses. I have two sons, and they see me working at home, and my wife, she's a nurse. When she works, she's very busy. When she comes home, she has nothing to do. My two boys, they both work in the industry, so they work very hard during the day. When they come, they are free. But when they see their dad all the time, either doing marking, either reading PhD thesis or giving feedback, and they say, Daddy, what you are doing? Are you not giving too much spoon feeding your student? So no, I need to know what is the line, how much feedback I can give, how much feedback I need to give, and how much I leave to them alone. Yeah, so helping hand is very important. Just giving them support, just giving them encouragement. Sometimes not necessarily you are working for them. Obviously, if you are writing a paper, obviously you have to do proofreading. Maybe if the methodology is not correct, you have to help them. But just giving helping hand is very important. And also, obviously, some professors are, there for a long time. They are maybe in their career stage. They are about to leave the institution or maybe go for sabbatical. You have to think about that. If you end up having a PhD supervisor in that situation, then you'll be struggling. Right. So what are the expectations from student, from supervisor? Students come from different backgrounds. As I mentioned to you, I came from Nepal. I had different background. I had different challenges. And normally, when postgraduate or PhD scholar come to UK, they come with their family. Okay, when they come with their family, they have maybe spouses and then children sometimes. So they have their family responsibility and they have their PhD responsibility. So they are in a very different. Some are very, anxious about the situation. Some may have struggling financially. So the PhD, the intensity that requires is a lot. And then they have to sometimes forget their family. They may not be able to give time to their family. So there is a friction between family and the PhD scholar. And then you can feel that when they come to your meeting. When you agree something, they may not be able to produce that. What is the reason? You just need to understand, appreciate. How was your week? Was it fine? How is your family? Are they all doing well? Start from there. Just show your concern. And then, so it's not easy to go to overseas and pay the fee. You might have to work sometime to pay the fee, to earn some money. So it's not easy. The cost of living is so high. So there are so many challenges. So I'm just putting something, sometimes they are very stressed. Sometimes they feel very lonely. The different situations that students go when they are doing PhD. So this here, just example that I have put what students expect from their supervisor. They want guidance. I wish she guided me in my research, or he guided me in my research. So sometimes you can be a PhD supervisor, but not really guiding in the research. That is really a not nice situation. I wish I had a little more freedom to decide the direction of my PhD. Sometimes supervisors go very micromanagement. When you agree certain topic, you have to leave the PhD scholar to make some decision, and they learn from that. They might make a wrong decision. It's better to make a wrong decision than making no decision at all. So give them that opportunity, and they learn from that, and they will never forget that. Yeah, so sometimes students like that. Sometimes students are a bit experienced, so they want to take that decision, and sometimes supervisor, we spoon feed. We do micromanagement. Maybe that is also not a good idea. So yeah, and sometimes they have their personal life. Sometimes supervisor always asking task-oriented, so much task-oriented. Okay, how many papers, what chapter have you been writing? What is the current? So all the time, just chasing on task is important, but at the same time, they also have personal life we need to think about. Yeah, so sometimes, they're asking their personal life, how they are doing, what is the stress they are going through is also very, very important. Yeah. So please stop me if you have any thing you would like to add. Yeah. So many, sometimes, they have so many forms to fill, and sometimes time management is very difficult, complex time management, and sometimes they don't know who to contact, where to go, and sometimes they are not alone. So in this situation, what I do is I introduce other PhD students. So I know in the school, there are so many professors, there are so many other PhD students. I try to help them to introduce to them so that they can learn. They may have gone through a little bit similar situation. They talk, they share their experience, and they can learn from them. Yeah, so that you don't have to go to supervisor, they solve the problem themselves. So we have so many overseas students coming. So we have already students enrolled, and there are other students coming. So they need to fill a task form. When the overseas students come to UK, they need to get a visa. So there are certain processes. So I introduce new student to the existing student who is already experienced, who has gone through that process. Okay, can you please contact this person who has already gone through this process? He will be able to help you. So just link to other concerned persons. I think that this PhD scholar, they really appreciate that, and that becomes their life a lot easy. Okay, so the life balance, they have challenge of finance, they have challenge of family. Sometimes they are stressed. There are so many things happening in their life. So life balance is very important for them. So sometimes, we have in our university, students have WhatsApp group, there are some other interaction forum. I try to link them to them so that they can learn from them. They can feel a little bit more comfortable because they are not the one alone going through that situation. There are other PhD scholars also going through same situation. So they interact. So sometimes, you are going to have to change to fit into the system, or you have to change the system. So you have to just work out and share your experiences with other colleagues. Sometimes, well-being, PhD students sometimes go through a very difficult time. It's a roller coaster ride, PhD study. Sometimes they think, you think they are really good. They are not good. They are really in a stressful situation. Sometimes they are in a mentally really, really stressful situation. You have to really know what they are going through, and then give them right advice or link them to certain places. Maybe you are a PhD supervisor, you are not expert in counseling, for example. You have to refer to them. So yeah, so this is what they expect from their supervisor. Obviously, in our university, we have a research degree office. So they look all the aspect of PhD, postgraduate research, the initial training, induction. Every year there's a graduate research festival where students do all the presentation, they handle that program. So they give responsibility to PhD students. So there are processes, there are places that they can go and get support. Yeah, so that can also be helpful to have additional support. Perhaps here you may have TGGS have all the responsibility, training, mentoring, counseling, different forms to fill, first year, second year, third year. I'm sure you have got, so it's a good idea to link them to those places. Okay, the expectation. It's not only PhD scholars expecting from their supervisor, supervisor also have expectation from their PhD students. It's a two-way communication process, two-way process. So I'll just quickly go here, capacity, enthusiasm, and passion. So first, capacity, they need to be able to do PhD what they have agreed to do. So they need to make an effort, literature survey, what is going on in that field, what is the research gap, what are the research questions. They need to do themselves with the support of supervisor. So they need to have that capacity. And then also enthusiasm. PhD is a passion. Research is all about passion. If there was no passion, I would not have been doing research. I'm in a professional band where I'm a senior professor. When I publish one paper, I celebrate that as if that was my first paper. So that is the passion, what is driving me to do research. So this is like one paper, I celebrate that as my first paper. So the passion and enthusiasm has to be there. So we expect same thing from our PhD scholar. And independence and initiative, taking responsibility of their thesis is very important. And also professionalism. Professional relationship is very important. And sticking time, meeting deadlines is very important. And the responsiveness. When you ask something or when you request something, they need to respond. And obviously hard work is very important. And you have to also driven by research outputs. If you are doing PhD and you are towards the end of your PhD, and if you have not done any publication, there's something wrong. You have to go to PhD viva. So what are you saying? You are saying, based on your novelty, you are trying to achieve PhD degree. But if you haven't published any paper outputs, then that is always a difficult situation. Yeah? So output is very important. An independent researcher and taking ownership of their project. It's not the supervisor who takes the ownership. It's the PhD scholar who needs to take the ownership of the project. Yeah. So this is what we expect from our students, supervisors. So managing mutually expected, agreed expectation. Well, when we have PhD student, we have clear-cut expectation. We make that clear right in the beginning. Look, first year, second year, third year. First year, 3 months. First year, 6 months. First year, towards the end, you will have major review. You will have to have a good understanding of the topic. You have clear research questions, aims, and objective. And you have done thorough literature review. And you have done some initial work of that particular PhD. Sometimes PhD scholars get confused. They think their first year is only major review. That means understanding the topic. Literature review is enough for first year. That is not correct. Sometimes that needs to be very clearly mentioned right in the beginning. Literature review is a part of the PhD process, first year, but you have to have certain understanding of the topic. Literature review is a continuous process. You can start a review from the beginning. You can still continue review towards the end of your PhD. But first year, you need to understand the topic, and you have to have certain experimental work, if it is based on experimental research, or you have to have certain modeling based on your initial work. When you go to major review, you have to have that. So there is a clear expectation. What is the first year? What is second year? What is third year? Okay, so structure approach is very, very important, and set expectation is very important, so that they don't have too much expectation from supervisor. They think that supervisor is everything. That is not true. So making expectation clear is very important right in the beginning. So here I just want to give an example. We have a PhD scholar from Bangladesh. He's working on textile waste and trying to use agricultural biomass waste and bringing to recycle bio-based composite from textile waste. So we had a meeting. So we said, okay, this is just the excerpt of the meeting. Okay, so just not detailed, but looking at the composite structure, what are the optimization process that he has to follow? What are the different types of waste, residues, sorry the spelling, and what are the stacking sequence he's using? What is the hybrid technique that he is going to use? What are the polymers that are going to be used? What are the mechanical, thermal, functional performance that he needs to be understanding? And then what is the expectation from first year? That is one of the review paper. And then you have to have major review. So that is the first year of work. So we make that very clear right in the beginning. And we not only we ask the PhD scholar to write it, and then after the meeting, we want that to be sent to us, and we have all record. Okay, this is what we agree. Obviously, PhD in the first year can be very optimistic. Second year, when you go, it can be realistic. Yeah, you might have to adjust your plan, but you have to have plan. So this is the first year. And then go to second year. Okay. So what is the technology he is using to recycle the textile waste? And what's the end of life option that person is looking? So we are very clear what is happening in the second year, what is happening in third year, what are the experimental work that person is doing, and when the experimental paper is coming, and which journal they are targeting. And then towards the end of the PhD, third year, and what is the final, very advanced, what are the nanoparticles or filler, the treatment that needs to be used, and what are the key performance that needs to be evaluated. That needs to be agreed. So this is what I always find very important, that we agree right in the beginning what are the expectations. And then we introduce PhD scholar to technical colleague, technical staff, research staff, scientific officers. They are available in different places. Somebody working on testing facilities, somebody working on scanning electron microscopy, for example, characterization, somebody working on manufacturing. So we take them to introduce to them. Okay, this is ABC. This is a colleague who will be helping you in this area. This is a person who will be helping you in this area. And when you write your paper, don't forget to acknowledge these colleagues. Because of their effort, you are publishing paper. Sometimes we forget. When you write paper, we write amazing paper, composite science and technology, but there is no acknowledgement the person who did SCM for you, who did manufacturing for you, who did testing for you. So we introduce them to them because they are also very important part of that journey, PhD journey. Although here we are talking supervisor and PhD scholar, but there are behind the scene, there are so many people there, colleagues in the postgraduate office who are helping to go to your conference. You know? So we discussed this in the beginning, right in the beginning, so that they are clear when they need something, where to go, who are there to support. And you write email. Okay, we have this person joined as a PhD scholar. His topic is this, and could you please help in this area? If you need help, please go to this person, go to this department. Just introduce them. And that is very, very helpful. The PhD scholar, they find that very, very supportive. And we learn this every year. Maybe my first PhD student didn't get that kind of benefit because I was also learning. But now maybe I have gone through that phase. I can guide them more directly, more precisely, so that their time efficiency increases. Right, okay, so let's move on. The managing mutually understood or agreed expectation is very important. So clear aims and methodology to achieve the aims and objectives. So you need to have clear aims and methodology to achieve the expectation. Okay, now I'm going to go a bit fast. What is your style? What kind of leadership style that you use for PhD? There is no set of style. Sometimes you can be very participatory. Sometimes you can be very direct. Sometimes you can be very engaging. So there are different methodology available. My approach so far has been very engaging, participatory. I talk to my student, research, okay, this is what we are trying to achieve. If you do this way, this is how we are going to achieve that. Yeah. So, your background, your research expertise, the experience of student, and also personality can have major effect on what works and what doesn't work. So one supervisor can be authoritarian but not dictatorial, and this works well. And some other supervisor can be student's best friend, as I said. After the work, they go to pub, and that still works. Okay? There is no set of this works or this doesn't work. But my experience is maintain certain distance. It's not because you don't want to be so close to your PhD scholar, but maintaining certain distance helps both sides. You are not available 24/7. so that is important. Right. So moving on. PhD is a piece of research. It's also a comprehensive training program. So I believe this is both. I hope you agree with me. Right. So stage 1B, recruitment and planning is very important. Why that person wants to do a particular area of PhD. Sometimes they come with a weird topic and your expertise is completely different. Better to tell them, okay, this is what we are doing. This is the expertise of our center. And if this is not what you are really looking for, we can liaise other colleagues, other departments. So don't take PhD that is not really within that area. So the interview is very, very important. Just discussing why do you want to do PhD? What makes you to do this area? Why have you selected this area? And then supervisory team is very important. We need 3 supervisors for a PhD. I don't know what is the process here. How many supervisors do you need for one PhD? 1. Yeah, the director of study. So do you have team of supervisors? So one person will be the responsible first supervisor, director of study, and there will be other team members. Yeah. So in our system, University of Portsmouth, we have 3 supervisory team, 3 supervisors. So first supervisor is director of study, who is the responsible person, who has to have the expertise of that particular topic. And there are 2 other supervisors, second and third supervisor. So the time expected from first supervisor is this many hours. Time expected from second supervisor is this many hours, and time expected from third supervisor is this many hours. So there are clear indications. And if we have got new member staff or early career member staff or mid-career member staff who has no PhD supervision experience, then one experienced supervisor comes in the team. So that person is also mentor. The early career colleague also mentor so that he can learn from that. So, yeah, but you can't have always a very experienced supervisor. You need to build them. You need to build the pool. So, yeah, that is what we do. Yeah, but having a supervisory team is very important. Yeah, yeah. All right, yes, yes. We also have sometimes industrial supervisor. We have a supervisory team from the university. If this is the industrially funded PhD project, and then industrial supervisor also comes on board. Yeah. So we have got currently one industrially funded PhD work that is on sustainable packaging material. So we have got 3 supervisors from university, and there's 1 supervisor from industry. Yeah. Right. So supervisory team is very important, and then meeting regularly is very important. It looks a very simple thing, but it makes a big impact on PhD scholars' progress. Meeting regularly. So first supervisor meets every 2 weeks. Supervisory team meets every month. So every month, PhD scholar gives the progress to the team and what was agreed in that particular meeting, and when the next meeting, between that time, whatever has been agreed, the PhD scholar will bring that work and the team will evaluate and give feedback. That is what we do, and this is very serious. The university puts very high emphasis on this, because what happens is, suppose PhD scholar couldn't progress as expected first year, but still the person is carrying on second year. Second year also didn't make very good progress. And what is the reason? The research degree office will evaluate. Are there enough supervisory team meeting held? Are there enough feedback provided? Are there continuous monitoring process in place? So that is a very important recording. Sometimes if there is if that process is not maintained, then PhD scholar can complain to the university, and sometimes even university has to compensate something. So nobody wants to go in that route. Yeah, for both sides, it's not good. Right. So yeah. So that's supervisory team is very important. Yeah. The project proposal has to be very clear, and what are the contributions to the knowledge, and that has to be very, very clear. So what I will say to our students is, we don't want to overwhelm them right in the beginning. We don't want to make them scared. Okay. What do we say to them? Look, first year, this is what we want. Second year gets a bit tougher, but you will be prepared for that. You are enabled to do that. You'll be trained to do that. So we give them confidence that they can do that. We don't want to scare our scholars right the first year, asking so much that they scare, oh my goodness, I don't think I can do it. So we don't want to go in that route, but we have to still give them enough warning. Okay, this is what is expected. So we always say that, okay, second year you need to publish at least 2 papers, but there's no written rules. University of Portsmouth has no any criteria that one PhD student has to publish so many papers to complete or to go to PhD Viva. There is no written rule. It is just the expectation and understanding between the supervisor and PhD scholar. I don't know what is here. Before going to Viva, obviously supervisor and PhD scholar has some expectation that, okay, we'll publish this many papers. But I don't think university has any particular number that you have to publish this many papers with this many impact factor journal, otherwise you cannot go to PhD Viva. I don't think there is a rule like that. We have rule. Wow. Wow. I think that is even really good. That I really like this one. Our university has not got that rule. Sometimes supervisors are in a very difficult position. Wow, that's really good, because yes, that's really good. I have been trying to press this, not to put so much pressure to PhD scholar, but just to have an expectation. So this is what we require. So there's no any rule saying you have to publish so many papers to go to PhD Viva. So the student sometimes can claim that there's no written rule in research degree handbook that I have to publish so many papers. Sometimes if students can be very difficult, if they have not made good progress during the PhD, because not all students can make progress, and they can claim that. So I'm just trying to, okay, we need to have that written rule, and that helps the supervisory team. Yeah, 4th and 5th year, sometimes what we do is beyond PhD, postdoc. Yeah, so when PhD students is really good, if we have some project, we encourage them to apply for postdoc. So when I finished my PhD, the second day of my PhD, I was offered postdoc. So I carried on postdoc. So it depends on the person's passion for research, also funding availability in the research group or research center. But our aim would be always the person who spent 3 years or 3.5 years in that institution, who has so much knowledge about the team, the machines, the work process. We don't want to leave that person unless that person has commitment to go to their job or something. So we want to keep them on board. So we want to offer them postdoc, and then later on, if they are good on teaching, they go to teaching route, and they can become a lecturer, academic. And they can still do the research, and they can carry on their teaching. So we have got, that is the 4th year. Because University of Portsmouth has ruled that you need to finish your PhD in 3 years. They give half year grace period, and maximum 1 more year, 4th year. If you prolong more than 4th year, they penalize the school. They will take research money away from the school, because they don't want to prolong PhDs. You want to finish PhD when you're supposed to finish. Yeah. So that's the rule. But 4th year, 5th year, they want to keep them. So my journey has been just amazing. So after finishing my PhD, we were planning to go back to Nepal. And then one day my supervisor rang our home number, and then I was not at home, so my wife picked the phone and he said, I want to talk to you with home. And sorry, is there anything I can communicate to him? He's not at the moment at home. So and he said, I have got a PhD scholarship, I mean a postdoctoral scholarship for home, and I'd be very happy if you could take that. So I was very fortunate that I got that opportunity. And then after working as a postdoc, and then I got a lecturer position in mechanical and marine engineering, and I worked as a lecturer. And then after 2 years, I became senior lecturer. And working as a senior lecturer for 8 years, then I became a reader. Then after becoming reader, within 2 years, I became full professor. Normally, it takes 4 years, 5 years for a reader to become a professor. Because of my research profile, because of my publication, because of my research drive and focus, I was given that opportunity to become a professor so quickly. Yeah. So So that is so 4th year, 5th year. If you have passion for the research, I think the money is not a problem. The supervisor or somebody will find the money. Right. Okay. So yes, expectation is very important. Time is very important. So someday you are going to give me, okay, so 5 minutes, I'll try to finish. So yeah, timetable, everything has to be clear. Major review is the main thing for first year, and the review paper is very important to understand the topic. And second year, we call the second year blues. It's a very challenging year. That is where you are really doing your research, experimental work, whatever you need to do, planning, good DOE, design of experiment, and that is what happens in second year. And the writing, feedback, all those producing publication, conference attendance, dissemination, starts in second year. That is very important year. And then obviously, what is the topic you are working? What are your dates for chapters? Even you have to start thinking that in second year. Obviously, the supervisor is not always there 24/7. You need to plan carefully. When you need to know when the work has been completed, and then what are the critical feedback needs to be provided? What are the distance you have to maintain? And what are the publications you have to make? So those all things happen second year and third year. Because third year, you're also writing thesis at the same time. And third and fourth year, obviously, the end game, the safe landing is very important. PhD viva is important. As the president asked the question, what happens after 3 years? What happens after PhD? So postdoc, and what are the other opportunities available in the center or in the research group? And then obviously selecting examiners is also very important. So in the UK, we have got, there has to be internal examiner and there has to be external examiner. If external examiner is very experienced in the field, there are no chair required. If external examiner is expert in the field, but has not got so much experience of PhD supervision, then there is a chair required. So you have got internal examiner, external examiner, and chair. And the PhD supervisor can be just an observer in the PhD viva. Yeah, so viva is important. Selecting external examiner, internal examiner is important, and communicating that to your researcher is also very important. So mock viva is always a good idea, and they feel very comfortable and they feel very confident before going to viva. So I always take 1 week before mock viva with students, as if I am an external examiner, and there will be other team members just grilling them, just making them asking questions from different angle. So that is very important. And then obviously, what are the career development path, and what are the other publications? Because PhD time, you still have a lot of papers to be worked out after PhD completion. So it's also important how to manage those the leftover work. Yeah, summary. So the good recruitment is very important for PhD, and expectations. What is they expect from us and what we expect from them. Or a PhD scholar and PhD supervisor expectation has to be so clear, and there has to be very structured research timetable planning, execution, and monitoring. and then obviously teamwork is always important. Not only within the supervisor and PhD scholar, where are other team members within the center or within the school, where are the scientific officer, where are the technical people. It's all about creating a research culture. I think PhD is creating a research culture. Just talking in the corridor, how are you? What is happening to your thesis? Did you submit your thesis? What happened to that particular paper you were working? Is it finished? So this is all about research culture, just encouraging them, motivating them, feel them proud about their work. It's not that they come in the morning and then go in a corner and they start in their laptop and then they finish and they go, stress all the time. That shouldn't be happening like that. There should be an environment where they can feel valued. They can feel very high. You are the expert in your field. You are the leader in your field. That is what we need to give them confidence. So that is all about research culture, research environment. So that is what I would like to do, the teamwork. Yeah, so PhD is an exhausting emotional struggle. You are forced to confront all of your fears that I showed one image, insecurities and doubts you have about yourself, and somehow you have to overcome them. So it's terrifying. A lot of bravery is required, which often goes unrecognized and unrewarded. So because of that, you need a good PhD supervisor. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yes. So, Professor Dhakal, thank you very much for your presentation today. Yeah? This is quite important for myself. I learned it a lot, what you are presenting. And the point that I invited Professor Dhakal to present the special topic today, that I observed that he is still, enjoy and happy to work with on the research, to work with the PhD student. That's really important. Because I am software, he is fresh, some of my colleagues, when they receive one PhD student, they always get the stress, and they came to my office and talk with something yesterday. Yeah. But I think that we learned it a lot from myself, and we can adopt his experience, how he is managed on his PhD work at our group. And I hope also that all my colleagues that maybe you can share your experience, because there's always at our university, we some of question what we listen at our university so many times. It was solved by Professor Dhakal, about the personal life, about the busy academic. There's such a question. That's always we okay. I suggest that if you have any experience to share with Professor Dhakal, please go ahead. Professor, maybe you also share your good experience, not bad.
As President said, I learned a lot from you. Anyhow, I want to ask for your advice and shares your strategy. Like, let's say I have my own small team in my lab, from student to postdoc researcher. Like become more and more year, the age gap between me and my student and my postdoc researcher is wider and wider. And sometimes the personality of me and the younger generation, they are quite far away from me right now. For some of them, let's say especially for the new student or the new researcher, new postdoc coming to the lab, I believe that most of people in the first phase, they are so dependent. They need help, they need guide, as you said. and I totally agree. However, myself, when we expanding the group, I have less and less time to help them individually. So then I have like my pyramid of helping hand. However, some younger student and postdoc, they have something like introvert personality. That's become my concern now. Like they can talk with me individually. However, when I want the guiding hand in my team to help that one, they are shy, they are timid, and they don't dare to talk with my helping hands. So that's what I want to learn from you. If you can share your tips to manage this situation. Thank you.
Let us separate that you achieve or without achieve also we can separation that you can solve at that point. Yeah.
Right.
I would like to introduction of Professor Malini. She is one of really active on the research at the
Right.
TGGS.
Yeah, it's a very interesting question. Thank you very much for that. I think PhD researchers need to be first listened. So just they need to feel that they are valued and what they are doing is they are doing a great work. They are solving some issues, some problems that currently there are no solutions. So they need to feel valued and they are doing important work. The first thing. Second, they are shy in the beginning. They feel a little bit scared of their work because whether they don't know whether it's correct or not. They feel a little bit it's not up to the standard. Maybe this is not up to the level that you expect. So they feel a little bit shy to share that. So I think for that, then there are different stages. Maybe they can share within the research group's meeting, or maybe there are some conferences they can, if they have some meaningful results obtained, they can go and share to their colleagues. So in a conference, and then the team encourages them to do that. So that might help them to be a bit more extrovert, a bit more open to their topic, because later on, when they finish their PhD, they need to be working as a team. They need to be working to solve the problems. So we need to give that confidence and that importance to them. I think that is what I do, because in the beginning they feel a little bit shy. They feel they are not good enough. The environment is a bit different. Everybody is a little bit higher than them. So they feel a little bit inferior in the beginning, and that is natural. Especially in the UK, if some colleagues are coming from some other different countries, they feel a little bit, or maybe my knowledge is not enough, maybe I'm not confident, but that is not true. We are all different people, we have all different experiences, but they all are equally important in the team to achieve the goal. So we need to encourage them and just go and talk to them in a very individual basis, how we are doing, what particular work are you currently doing, what are you trying to find out? Did you find what you wanted to find out, or do you need any help? If you are struggling, or if you are not being able to get something, maybe this person can help. So if we go and just take interest in their research, and they have confidence on us, and they can start sharing their feelings. Yeah, I think that is the approach I use, but there is no one particular approach suitable for that situation. But just encouraging them to share their work, maybe in the team first, and give them value, just introducing that particular person. Okay, Peter, for example. Peter is doing amazing work in packaging material. He's a very early stage of his research work. Nonetheless, he has found very interesting work. He has done some interesting results. Maybe it will be great to hear about his work. Maybe in our next meeting, would you mind just sharing 5 minutes about your work, what you have done so far? Just if we give that, maybe that person will take that opportunity and then come forward. So I think that this is the approach I will take. So just how they can feel more valued and more member of the team. Sometimes I have seen PhD scholar coming to the office, go in the corner, be in their laptop whole day, and then go back to their home, come next day, repeat that same thing. Wow, that is really terrifying. If that person is not interacting with team member, if person is not talking so much with other members of the team in the center or in the research group, that is a worrying factor. Yeah. So I think that is what we can encourage.
And also coffee break is also really important. I suggest they can make the supervisor enjoy with our team.
Right.
Yeah. The college from Faculty of Engineering, please share your experience.
Yes, good morning all. Professor, firstly, I would like to thank for your wonderful and amazing talk because it is very important aspect for many young researchers first. And next thing, actually, I'm proud to say I'm the first postdoc of KMUTNB. I was working with our president, Professor Suchat sir. My own experience, even PhD or postdoc, I think it's a mutual understanding between supervisor and student. Because it's like a bridge. It's like a bridge between like a supervisor and a student. So I was getting more motivation, support, encouragement from my professor. So like this. So many times the supervisor and student, it's a learning process. I would like to add this point, Professor. It's like a mutual like learning process. Sometimes we will learn from our own student. Also, student can learn from their professors. So it's a learning process. If you think it's a learning process, then it's a success. And also, mutual relationship is very important. If your relationship is not good, then you will not get success in your work. So, PhD is just like a mutual understanding, motivation, encouragement, and a learning process. So this is my own experience. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
all.
that's very excellent. Thank you so much for the input. Just adding one more point. I was just talking to President. The cultural difference also plays very important role. In Western culture, we are more open to discuss and make mistakes. And nobody is scared to make mistakes and they learn from that mistake. From our Eastern culture, that is maybe sometimes not very open. So students coming from Bangladesh, Nepal, India, Pakistan, for example, Myanmar, even Thailand, the culture, they are not very open to discuss or even to criticize supervisor. Sometimes supervisor is not always expert. Supervisor can also, student can input to supervisor. As Sanjay mentioned, they can learn from each other. But from the cultural point of view, from our part of the world, we are more quiet. We don't bring that aspect. So that also sometimes becomes an issue. So we need to understand the culture as well. So supervisor or the team has to appreciate the culture that student is coming from and just encourage them to engage and to be more open as they go along. Yeah, thank you.
It's true, because I learned a lot during my supervisor or PhD, especially some topic. Our knowledge is not coding because it's my background in mechanical engineering. We are working on some chemical treatment. We need some postdoc or PhD who has a strong background on that topic.
So,
My
name is
colleague from Faculty of Engineering.
right from Department of Chemical Engineering, Faculty of Engineering. So I just would like to share and about my experience for the supervisor, including for the senior projects, master degrees, PhD, and also the postdoctoral. Also, we have the different generation gap. So the first thing that I try to eliminate the gap between the peoples, including me as well. So it means I try to make the group meetings, like the weekly meetings, not only the inside but outside as well. So it means that we try to organize the outside activities together as well to how to say eliminate the gap between advisors and also the advisee as well. And another things that I try to do is first time that we have the first encounters, I try to learning their behavior and characters to customize the way that I treat them differently. So I know each other, they have some specific behaviors and characters. So the way that I treat them and the way that I teach them and advise them is different for each others as well. So this is, I think, one of the best way for me and suitable for my student as well, because I have the senior project is at Thai. I have a master degree is Thai as well, and also I have my postdoctoral foreigner. So from here, I also how to say, like observe that the best way for the Thai student as well, as we have the problem especially for the language. So the way that I have a group meetings in English, so they can improve their language skill as well. So I think, yeah, this is my experience that I have right now. So I don't know if another groups research, they have like the weekly meeting as me or not. So I think this is one of the effective way to yeah, delete the gap between the generations.
Yeah,
Yes, thank you.
that is a really excellent example. Thank you for sharing your experience. Yeah, I also found that very effective. Sometimes we go out for a picnic with students, and they feel more comfortable outside of the research environment. So they sometimes share their favorite food. Sometimes they talk their life. So what is happening, and then that helps them to be closer, and that becomes they become more open. I think this is a very good example. Let me just give you one example. I have got one postdoc coming from Turkey. He's amazing researcher, brilliant researcher. I felt that, okay, he has come from Turkey, he has got one daughter and wife coming from Turkey. It must be quite difficult for him, just moving from his country. He was associate professor there, coming here as a postdoc. It must be quite tough. So although I interact with him every day in my workplace, but I thought, no, I need to go beyond this workplace. I need to understand his life. Sometimes you don't get that chance. Sometimes you go for coffee, you chat, but you don't have a really good time. So we went together with his daughter and his wife, and then we went for outside. Then that was really amazing experience to learn from that, the person. So doing that outside of work environment, and just, I think that is really effective. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, we can use this technique. I don't know whether our faculty, whether you organize any outreach event because every year we organize a doctoral festival. There's only for PhD students, from all over the university, from all faculties, and they find that amazingly enriching. So they organize from the beginning till end, and they have panel discussion, they have career advice, they have a poster presentation, there is a reward for that. So they organize everything, and they feel very valued, and they are very thankful. Yeah, I think that this kind of activity will certainly bring that barrier that you mentioned earlier. Thank you.
And maybe some of college who attended in online, do you have any question? Do you have any question? I think there's maybe I can create some question for all of you. It's maybe quite interesting about the financial support. Yeah, because it's all my colleagues, they are always complained about the budget. Yeah. Or the funding is always delayed. How you are managing such things? You
For funding.
Yeah, from funding, and because in Thailand, as a government project, when they approve the budget, is always not exactly in time and always delay. Some of that question, right? Yeah. Okay, please.
Thank you very much, Professor, for your excellent talk. I have one issue that I cannot conclude with my student about what is the first priority between disciplinary and passion.
Yeah.
Yeah, because students always talking about passion. And then when they don't have passion, they're gone from the lab.
Yeah.
I need your suggestion.
Right. So
Thai or foreign student? Thai student, right? You're talking about. Most of the cases what's happened.
Most of that, but
Yeah.
sometimes other as well.
Yeah, I think the passion is very important, but passion has to be realized with implementation and results. If somebody is very much passionate and doesn't produce outputs, so passion does not produce results. So passion is important to produce results, but if there's only passion but no results, that means the passion is not real. So that has to be translated in outputs, because in the end, university requires outputs. Our research funding is based on our research power, our impact on research. So how many papers we publish, what is the citation of our papers? So that is evaluated by our university. So each professor or each department has that accountability or responsibility. In the end, president would expect all faculties producing some research outputs, research impact. So that goes to the research center, research groups. Research groups have to produce certain PhDs, certain PhD has to produce certain research outputs, and that has to be impactful research, because you have to have impact case study to evaluate the impact of your research. So what we say is 3 areas. So one is novelty, and another one is significance. What is the novelty of your work? What is the significance of your work? And how rigorous the work is. How well that you have worked on that. So if a person talks about a lot about research, but doesn't produce these 3 aspects, novelty, rigorous, and significant research, then maybe that is not complete. Yeah. So in the end, we are responsible, we are accountable research outputs. That research output is important for the university for various purposes, for grant application, for our standing, for our QR ranking, for so many reasons. So PhD is the path towards that direction. Yeah. So passion alone will not. So the passion need to produce outputs. That is my answer to that. Right, we have 3 minutes. Professor,
Okay,
do you want to
thank
talk
you.
about funding?
Huh?
For funding?
Yes, for
yeah.
funding. Do you have any trick for my college? Because
Yeah.
it's quite important for Thai college who will develop research project.
Yeah, research funding is very important. Without funding, we cannot do research. We cannot bring postdoc, we cannot bring a PhD. Sometimes PhDs are funded by certain governments, but not always the case. So you have to have projects that brings funding. Without funding, you cannot do research. So there are different funding routes available, and we believe in collaboration. We have been working with the King Mongkut Universities of Technology, North Bangkok for the last 7 years. We applied for some funding, but there are different funding routes available. So we need to try for those fundings. Because research funding is very tough at the moment, it's very competitive. So the project has to be really, really novel, and then you will be trying to solve some problems, industrial problem or societal problem. So for that, we need to also sometimes industry on board in certain research grant application. Industry has to come into the team. So yeah, funding is very important. I think if there is a good project, funding is possible. There are different funding routes available: industrial funding route, knowledge transfer funding route. Sometimes the British Council, if you talk about overseas funding route, so maybe we have to just look on those areas.
Do you think that the industry funding, they can develop the publication at the same time?
Yes, industrial funding has some reluctance on publication because they don't want to reveal all the work that has been carried out from that particular project. They want to hold for a while for their benefit, for their business secret. I don't know that is the right word or not. They don't want to reveal everything. Sometimes they want to reveal some general information just to publicize what they are doing. Maybe that is fine, but for the real output, sometimes they don't want to reveal. But nonetheless, being an academic institution, if we can contribute to industry, that is in itself is fine for us. If we can produce outputs, papers, that's fine. If not, at least whether we can do some IP, joint IP, or if we can help them, that is already in itself is a big contribution.
Okay, I think the time is over now. Thank you very much, Professor
Thank you.
Dhakal, for your presentation today. But Professor Dhakal, he's still here until tomorrow. Tomorrow we still organizes the symposium on sustainable fiber and polymer-like materials. If some of you interested on that topic, please join our symposium free of charge. We invite the student from faculty of CIT and engineering, and we are still have the big registration number from outside, more than 150. Yes. Okay, please. Thank you very much, Professor Dhakal. So I really appreciate. And one thing I will share, our group is not bad. Now we assigned our review paper at the beginning of the same, but maybe too early. No? We assign them when they accept for our PhD student, since they are still in the home country. We assign already the review paper. Because most of our my postdoc, they know exactly that they should develop the review paper since they are at home. When they came to the university, most of the process they are closer to finish with the first paper.
President, can I take half a minute? Sometimes when you do research, our support staff colleagues are amazing behind the scene. So we do a lot of programs, a lot of good papers we publish, but support from a research degree and support from other, they're phenomenal. So we are so grateful for that. Thank you.
Yeah, and today evening, Professor Marini, if you have some difficulty with your student, please invite them to join our dinner today. Yeah. We can solve that issue. I will give you a trick how to solve it, that point, how to encourage a student to work in your research project. Yeah. But I suggest it's always coffee break, separation, always. Yeah. With achieve or without achieve, that you can separate it. Yeah. Your research group. Okay, good. Okay, I'll move.
Thank you very much, Professor Dr. Suchat Singh Chin. And thank you very much, Professor Nath Dhakal, for the enlightening and useful presentation. Now, may I invite Professor Dr. Nisai Phương-Verosakul, the Dean of TGGS, to present the tokens of appreciation to Professor Dr. Nath Dhakal, please. Yes, everyone please take a group photo.